Out to the wood pile for this this phase in what we're doing. So all I'm gonna do is take my little cold steel trail hawk and I'm gonna just trim pretty close to those lines. And then I can also go ahead and start removing some of the stuff. Alright, so you're going to do lines. So you can get the lines drawn out and put them out. Now, at the end of this, I'll take those ends, my number from Knox, and I'll put them out. I'll leave this safe. So basically, that part was in there really difficult. So I have a wet place on my property. I went and let that safe in water for the last 2 weeks. Let that box soften up. I'll have that open. It's come off, okay? And I'm going to eat it off. So listen, I'm going to just take down. I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do that. Take it down. Then I'll get back and show you the next place I'll be. So typically, building a wooden bow is a fairly long process, but I've got an hour into this one right now, about an hour maybe. But like I said, I've done this a few times. So I'm close to my lines. I'm gonna finish that out with my with a rasp or either the draw knife, and then when it comes to getting this wood off, I've been using a wood chisel and a saw and kind of sawing down, and then just basically taking that wood chisel and getting these pieces off. I'll get all this down to where it's about the same width before I start worrying about you know, doing the finishing work on getting it shaped and stuff. So I still got a lot of work to do, but I don't have a lot of time in it right now. And I'll be honest with you, soaking in that water probably added some moisture back to it, so I may have to put it in something to try to get it get the wood dry, or get the moisture level down, so it'll have some good snap and cast to it when we shoot. So that's where we're at, and so what I'll do next is just put this in my vise. A draw knife is pretty well the thing that you want for bow building. It's gonna be hard to, I mean, I guess you could do it, you know, with something but a draw knife, but a good draw knife is really, I picked this one up at a flea market years ago. I've had to redo the handles, epoxy them again because they were coming off. But basically, I'm just going to work this down. Now you can cut through it's okay to cut through the knots on the belly of the bow. If you've never made a bow, this part right here is the belly, the part that'll be towards you when you're holding the bow, and the other part is your back of your bow. In the back of a self bow, you want to be, if you're not going to back it with something, you want it to follow one growth ring from one end of the stave to the other, because it's going to be under tension when you draw the bow. This is your back, and of course it's not ready yet. I still have some places here that have the inner bark on it from the hickory, but you see that's the sapwood, and on whitewood you use the sapwood as your back, whereas if you were doing an Osage bow, it would be the heartwood you'd be using for the back of your bow, and that's a whole different world, a whole different story. You know, I always recommend that people start with, you know, with whitewoods, and hickory is a good wood to start with to bow making because it's very forgiving. It doesn't make, maybe it's not going to make the fastest bow in the world, but it'll let you get away with some mistakes that you might need when you're first starting this process of learning to make a bow. All right. Those knots can be rough. All right, I'll keep working. I'll get back when ready for the next stage. What can happen if you have an area that's thinner than the rest and you start bending this bow, you get what's called a hinge, just like a hinge in a door, where it bends way more in this one area. And generally, if you have a hinge, that's where it could break. The bow could actually break. And so the idea is this area right here I've got marked. This is very thin. So I'm taking wood off to try to get it as thin as that area right there. Okay, and that's going to happen in the tillering process. It's not a big deal. You just deal with it. Just remember, you move. You don't remove any more wood at the where the hinge would occur. You move wood before and after it to try to make the wood, get the wood to bend evenly. See, it's still a little bit right here, still right there is getting on down there. Now that's given that it's the same width, because there again, if I've got a narrow spot like I do right there, I could actually possibly leave it a little thicker because it's narrower. Like I said, I didn't mean to do that, but it happens. Now I'm just moving the draw knife at a 90-degree angle and just scraping the layers of wood off. Just trying to get close at this point right here. You know, you just don't want real thick limbs, and so I've got a spot down here that needs some attention. Right in here is really it's really thicker than everywhere else. Like right in here where this knot is, and that's also something you have to adapt to when you have knots. Starting to look pretty good. I tell you what I have done with these hickory bows, because I thought it looked pretty cool, kind of like a camouflage. I've just sanded this inner bark layer, just sanded it smooth, and then, you know, put some kind of sealant on there, and it turned out looking pretty nice. I've done that before too. In other words, I don't put a lot of too much time in finishing these beginner bows that I use to teach, because I know they're going to get abused. I mean, I have